It was a warm Friday afternoon in downtown Atlanta, the kind of day where the air shimmered above the asphalt and the sidewalks were alive with the rhythm of weekend anticipation, the smell of roasted peanuts from the corner vendor mixing with the faint sweetness drifting from a nearby bakery, and at the heart of Peachtree Street stood Lux and Legacy, a jewelry store that gleamed like a temple of light, its gold-lettered sign catching the sun while behind its glass walls rows of diamonds and gemstones seemed to float in their velvet nests, each one bathed in the golden glow of strategically placed spotlights. For most passers-by it was just another monument to wealth, but for Danielle Warren it was personal, because she had built this empire from nothing, from the days she worked double shifts as a waitress while studying business at night, from the humiliation of being turned away from a store because she didn't look like the kind of customer they served, from the countless closed doors she faced as a young black woman pitching her first boutique concept to skeptical investors, and from the fire inside her that refused to let those rejections define her future. Lux and Legacy had been born from that fire, starting as a single cozy boutique in a quiet corner of the city and growing, through grit, relentless vision, and a stubborn refusal to accept anything less than excellence, into a nationwide chain of 33 locations known for its exquisite craftsmanship and customers first philosophy. But lately whispers had reached her that this branch, had strayed from her vision, that customers were being treated with coldness, even disdain, that assumptions about who could or could not afford to shop there were shaping the experience, and Danielle, who believed in the power of first-hand truth, decided not to announce her visit as CEO but to walk in unrecognized, dressed not in her tailored suits and signature emerald brooch but in faded jeans, white sneakers, and a simple black t-shirt, her hair tied back in a low bun, carrying an old leather tote that had traveled the world with her. As she stepped through the heavy glass doors, the blast of cool air conditioning wrapped around her and the faint scent of sandalwood and expensive perfume filled her senses, her eyes taking in the symmetry of glass display cases, the soft hum of classical music, the delicate chime as the door closed behind her, and from behind a polished mahogany counter a young sales associate, no more than mid-20s, offered a polite smile that flickered briefly before she was intercepted by a man striding forward with the confidence of someone who believed he owned the space, his navy suit pressed to perfection, gold watch catching the light, hair slicked back so precisely it looked lacquered, and his name tag gleaming. Gregory M., store manager. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice professional but edged with a certain coolness, the kind that weighed and measured you in the space of a heartbeat, and Danielle, calm and composed, replied that she was looking for a special gift, perhaps a diamond bracelet, at which Gregory's eyes, moving with subtle but unmistakable judgment, lingered on her sneakers and worn tote before his polite smile tightened. "Our diamond bracelets start at $15,000, he said slowly, the number dropped like a test. "Perhaps you'd like to look at something in a lower price range." And though his words might have sounded helpful to an untrained ear, the tone carried the quiet condescension of someone who had already decided what box to place her in. But Danielle, keeping her voice even, replied that she hadn't mentioned a budget, to which Gregory gave a short chuckle, the kind that says he's humoring you, and suggested their silver collection instead because it was more accessible. And now the couple, browsing a nearby case, pretending to examine a necklace, began glancing over with curiosity. Sensing the shift in atmosphere, Danielle repeated her request to see the diamond bracelets, but Gregory, with a faint sigh, claimed they were kept in the back for security reasons and that viewing them usually required an appointment. "May I ask if you've shopped with us before?" he pressed, and when Danielle simply said once or twice, he asked if she had receipts or a purchase record, explaining that it was store policy. Though when she asked pointedly if it was the store's policy or his policy, the faint flush in his cheeks betrayed that she had hit her mark, yet still he pressed on, saying he just wanted to save her time, that not everyone is in the market for items in the five-figure range, and the words, dressed in courtesy, carried the blade of assumption, the very kind of small-minded gatekeeping she had fought her whole life to dismantle. So she asked directly if he was refusing to show her what she had requested, and his answer, cloaked in suggesting something more appropriate, was all the confirmation she needed. Still, she allowed the moment to breathe, to settle like a storm building, then reached into her tote and withdrew a slim black leather card holder, sliding from it a heavy black business card embossed with gold, Danielle Warren, Chief Executive Officer, Lux and Legacy International, and when she extended it toward him, Gregory took it automatically, eyes scanning the name before freezing, looking up at her, back at the card, as the realization dawned slow and cold. You're, he began, but she cut him off with a calm, "Yes, I own this store. And 32 others just like it," and in the stunned silence that followed, the young associate's eyes went wide, the browsing couple exchanged knowing glances, and even the ambient music seemed quieter. Gregory stammered, "I didn't mean," but Danielle's voice was steady steel now, "You meant exactly what you said, and you just confirmed every complaint I've received about this location," and with a smooth motion she pulled out her phone, tapped a single number, and said into it, "Security. Peachtree branch. Now." 2 minutes later, the chime of the door sounded again as 2 uniformed security officers entered, and Danielle didn't raise her voice or create a spectacle. She simply turned to Gregory and said, "You're relieved of your duties." Effective immediately, and when he began to plead, she cut him off once more. "I think you've said enough," at which point the officers escorted him toward the door, his polished shoes clicking on the marble floor like a fading metronome of failure, and when they were gone she turned to the young associate, asked her name, Amber, and told her she was now in charge until a new manager was assigned, but more importantly, to treat every person who walked through that door like they belonged. Because they did, and Amber, still reeling, nodded vigorously. As Danielle stepped back into the hot Atlanta sunlight, the city's noise folding around her, she thought of her younger self, standing years ago outside a jewelry store she couldn't afford, dreaming of the day she might walk into one without fear of judgment, and how now she not only owned one but had the power to change how others experienced it. And as she walked away, a small crowd that had gathered outside, having caught snippets of the drama, watched her with a mix of awe and admiration. One woman even whispering, "That's how you do it," and in that moment Danielle knew that Lux and Legacy wasn't just a name, it was a promise, and she would make sure no one under her watch ever forgot it.